Welcome to The Explainer. We're here to cut through the noise and make sense of the complex stuff that shapes our world.
You know, a corporate report isn't always just one single story. Sometimes you get a few different tales, all wrapped up in a single document. One looking back and one pointing a finger straight at the future. All right, so let's get into it. We're looking at a recent filing from Khaitan Chemicals, a big name in chemicals and fertilizers. And what's so interesting here is that it tells two completely different stories. One's about its recent past, and the other, well, that one's all about its future.
Okay, first up, let's talk numbers. This is really story number one, the one that tells us what's been happening recently. It kind of sets the stage for everything else.
So if you want to get a quick pulse check on a company, the first thing you look at is total income, right? It's basically all the money coming in the door. And when that number starts to shrink, you can bet management starts getting nervous and looking at where they can cut costs.
And wow, you can really see the challenge here. Just so you know, these numbers are in lakhs, so 100 lakhs is 1 crore rupees. This last quarter, income was just over 121 crore. Now that's down from 148 crore the quarter before, but look at this, it's almost half of what they made in the same quarter last year. That's a huge drop.
But, falling revenue is one thing. The really dramatic part of the story, that's what happened to the bottom line, to profitability. And here it is. This is a big one. The company went from making a pretty solid profit, over 21 crore rupees a year ago, to losing 16.5 crore rupees this quarter. I mean, that's not just a dip, that's a complete 180.
So, that's the bottom line, literally. A 16.5 crore loss. A number like that puts a ton of pressure on a company, and it almost always forces them to make some big strategic changes.
Okay, so that's the gloomy part. But here's where it gets really interesting. Buried in that very same report, we find a completely different story. One that's not about the tough quarter they just had, but about where they're heading. So, to get what they're doing, you gotta understand this thing called the group captive mechanism. It sounds complicated, but it's actually a pretty clever idea. It basically lets a company buy a piece of a power plant so it can get cheaper, dedicated electricity just for its own factory.
And you can see from their own words, this isn't just some random investment. It's a core strategy. Think about it. Your finances are under pressure, so what do? You go after your biggest bills. And for a manufacturing company, energy is always a huge one.
So what are they doing? They're buying a stake in a new solar power company called KRSK Solar. And when you look at the details, it tells you a lot. First off, they're taking a 26% stake. Now that's a very specific number. It's not random. In India, that's the magic number, the minimum you need to own to get the benefits of this captive power deal we were just talking about. And what about the price tag? About 38 lakh rupees. Now, in the world of big corporate deals, that's not a lot of money. It's a pretty small investment to lock in a major long-term advantage on your energy costs.
And this is what's really cool. They're basically investing in a startup. KSKA Solar has zero revenue so far, so Khaitan isn't buying a proven business. They're helping to build one from scratch. It's a pure play on the future.
So why bother with all this? The report boils it down to 3 key things. 1. Get reliable, renewable power. 2. Get a handle on your energy costs for the long run. And 3, reduce your carbon footprint. It's a win-win-win.
All right, so we've got these two totally different stories. A rough quarter on one side and a smart, forward-looking investment on the other. How do they fit together?
It's really fascinating when you lay it all out. This one report gives you both sides of the coin. You've got the performance story, that's the past, with falling income and that swing to a loss. And then you've got the strategy story. That's the future, this clever, low-cost bet on green energy to save money and go green.
And here's the main takeaway, the thing to really get. These two stories aren't separate. They're completely connected. That tough financial quarter probably lit a fire under them to find a way to control their biggest expenses. So this solar deal, it's not happening in a vacuum. It looks like a direct answer to the financial pressure they're facing.
And that leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? The last quarter was definitely a tough one. But at the same time, the company is planting some really important seeds for a future that's more efficient, more stable, and more sustainable. So, is this big move into solar the spark that's going to power their comeback? Well, only time's going to tell on that one.